Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of corporate filings so you don't have to, and sometimes we even find some jokes hidden in plain sight. Today we are taking a look at Ventyx Biosciences. It's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company. Now stick around to see why this report sounds like the beginning of a superhero origin story mixed with a reality TV show about managing money. Ventyx is putting out their annual report, which is like their yearly State of the Union to investors. The main story, they are burning through cash, which is common for these types of companies, and they need more. Let's dig into how they plan to survive and what they are betting on. First off, what does Ventyx actually do? They're all about oral therapies, meaning pills you swallow, targeting autoimmune, inflammatory, and neurodegenerative diseases. Basically, they're trying to create the next generation of drugs for diseases that are hard to treat. What's in their medicine cabinet? We got VTX this and VTX that. Honestly, it sounds like a new line of Star Wars droids. Two of their drugs, VTX 2735 and VTX 3232, are aimed at something called the NLRP3 inflammasome. Don't worry, you don't need to pronounce that, let's just call it NLRP3. It is part of your body's immune system that, when it goes haywire, can cause all sorts of problems like heart disease and even neurological issues like Parkinson's. VTX 2735, they hope, will help folks with recurrent pericarditis, a nasty heart condition, with results expected in the second half of 2025. Meanwhile, VTX 3232 is trying to tackle Parkinson's and even obesity, which is ambitious, as obesity is another monster they are looking to address. They're running a trial for Parkinson's and are expecting results in the first half of 2025. Then there's another study for obesity, again, results in the second half of 2025. Basically, Ventyx is pinning its hopes on these two drugs to make a splash in some very big markets. Next up, there's their IBD, or inflammatory bowel disease, portfolio. Here, they have tamuzimab, which sounds like a villain in a sci-fi movie, and VTX 958. Tamuzimab is for ulcerative colitis, and get this, Ventyx thinks it could be a backbone for future combo treatments. But they also want to find a partner to fund it since they don't want to spend their own cash. Now, VTX 958 for Crohn's disease unfortunately didn't hit its main goal in a recent trial. Ouch, but Ventyx is not giving up yet and is still trying to see if there's a path forward, maybe with a partner. Sounds like VTX 958 might be on the chopping block, or at least on very thin ice. Alright, so how do they plan to pay for all this? Well, they did get a $27 million investment from Sanofi, a pharmaceutical giant. In return, Sanofi gets a first look at VTX 3232, the Parkinson's and obesity drug. It is like Ventyx is saying, here's a sneak peek, maybe you'll want to buy the whole thing later. Ventyx claims to have some superpowers of its own. They say their team is great at drug discovery and development, with skills in medicinal chemistry, structural biology, and immunology. It's like they are assembling the Avengers of drug development. They also point out their lead optimization approach, which is a fancy way of saying they tweak and improve their drugs until they are just right. Of course, there's a ton of competition out there. They are up against big pharmaceutical companies, smaller biotechs, universities, you name it. If their drugs don't measure up or are too expensive, they could be dead in the water. They're not just fighting other companies. The government might decide to regulate drug prices or limit what insurers will pay. It is like fighting a battle on multiple fronts. And it's time for some legal jargon. They're walking a tightrope here, too. They need to make sure their drugs don't step on anyone else's patents, which is a constant worry in the world of biotech. Patent law is a minefield, and one wrong step could mean a lawsuit. Also, they need to protect their own intellectual property. If someone steals their secrets, it could be game over. They talk about their approach to protect their compounds. VTX 2735, VTX 3232, tamuzimab, and VTX 958. But wait, there's more. Because Ventyx deals with sensitive patient data, they have to be super careful about cybersecurity. They've got policies, risk assessments, and even hire outside experts to make sure they don't get hacked. Someone is in charge of this, the compliance officer and the chief operating officer who report to the CEO. They want to avoid becoming the next victim of a data breach, which could be a PR nightmare. Alright, let's talk numbers. Remember that superhero origin story I mentioned? Well, even superheroes need funding. Ventyx has been burning through cash since day one. As of the end of 2024, they had a net loss of $135.1 million. That's a big number. They had an accumulated deficit, like debt, of over $500 million. But hey, that's the cost of innovation, right? Looking into the fine print, because they were previously an emerging growth company, they got some exemptions, such as getting away without needing to provide an auditor's assessment of internal financial controls. They are no longer a smaller reporting company since the market value of their stock held by non-affiliates, aka not the big guys at the company, exceeded a certain value. Ventyx doesn't have its own factories. They hire contract manufacturers. This could cause problems if those manufacturers mess up the formula or can't produce enough product. It is like relying on a bakery to make your cake, and they are not able to do it, well, no one gets cake. One accounting change to keep an eye on is something called ASU 2023-9. It affects how they disclose income taxes. It is all about making taxes more transparent, but Ventyx is still trying to figure out how it will affect them. So what's my take on Ventyx? They're definitely swinging for the fences with some high-risk, high-reward drug candidates. Their approach to target the NLRP3 inflammasome is novel and could pay off big if they are successful. They have also partnered with a big player in the market, Sanofi, which is a vote of confidence. However, there's a lot of uncertainty. They are bleeding money, relying on a few key drugs to succeed and facing fierce competition. It is like they're betting it all on a few horses in the Kentucky Derby. The failure of that Crohn's drug trial is a major setback, showing how tough this industry can be. They don't control their own manufacturing, which can be risky, and they have got to be careful about cybersecurity, which every company has to be careful about. Overall, Ventyx is a high-risk, high-reward play. If you're an investor, you need to be comfortable with a lot of uncertainty. They have some interesting science, but they need to execute flawlessly and hope their clinical trials pan out. Otherwise, this could be another biotech story that ends with a whimper. It's a reminder that for every overnight success, there are countless companies that burn brightly, then fade away, and you should not trust anyone who tries to sell you a get-rich-quick scheme. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, hit that like button and please subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate filings. And let me know in the comments what company you want me to decode next.